Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. We are still a man down, I'm afraid, but that doesn't stop the ball from rolling. See what I did there? Ball, football, you get it. You get it. We are covering last week's games, transfer news, and this week's games. That's exactly what you want from a football podcast, and we are here to deliver. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And obviously, if you've got a football fan in your life, share the podcast with them. They might even thank you for it. Right, let's get into it. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the football podcast.
Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, and if you're new around here, double welcome. Obviously, it is the CookieCast Podcast Network's football podcast for your delectability. For those of you watching on YouTube, you'll notice there are 3 contented faces staring back at you. Sadly, for the second week in a row, Mr. Moore unable to join us, so it'll just be the 3 of us flying. I tried this last week, and I probably fucked it up then as well. Trio-ish. Yeah, we'll go with that.
By the time that Matt's back, you'll have it down, Paul. You'll be fine.
Yes, yeah. I'll have worked out the exact word, the exact phrasing, and it'll all be for bugger all.
A thruple.
So,
I like that.
A thruple. Yes, indeed. Lovely, lovely stuff. So yes, the voices you heard there, for those of you not watching on YouTube, were the voices of Messrs. Cook and Woodmansey. How are we this week, gents?
We're good.
We like to hear it. So, let us fart around no more, and let's dive straight into the action from last week, which started on the Friday night on the Sky Telly box, with what seemed to be a home banker. Yes, I did say banker. In South Yorkshire, as Sheffield United were taking on Hull. It very much did not turn out to be a home banker. Would it be suffice to say as this was more than comfortable for the away side?
Well, let's start at the very beginning. Sheffield United had a chance to go top, playing on Friday night. The team in second played the team in 22nd come Friday. As Paul said, absolute banker of a home win. But then, on 6 minutes, up steps new signing, known formally to the podcast of a Middlesbrough diocese previously, but obviously Matt Crooks now playing for Hull, upset that form book. First start for City, and it was Sheffield United corner. City managed to get it clear and just broke up the end of the pitch. Kamara went down the left, tried to cross it into Joseph, but a terrible clearance by Gilchrist stopped the ball almost dead. And it just so happened to be in the stride of the big man Crooks, who absolutely slapped it into the right-hand side of the net. Sort of wrapped his foot around it and curled it around the keeper, which was a really good finish from just outside the area. I would go so far as to say that Sheffield United probably controlled a lot of the game. But at half-time, City went in 1-0 up. They'd obviously gone there with a bit of a plan just to try and they were comfortable letting Sheffield United have the ball and just do with it what they could when they got it, and for once managed it quite effectively. Early in the second half, Brewster did score for Sheffield United, but the officials ruled out the goal incorrectly for offside. McLaughlin was definitely playing Brewster onside if you watch it back. Not a good look for the referees. Absolutely zero chuffs given for any Hull City fan because it kept the scoreline in our favour. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't, and I'd say it's probably more of a rarity for the team at the bottom of the division to actually have something go for them. But after that, it seemed to give Hull a bit of a spark, and they really did sort of turn it on a little bit. Drama down the right hand side, crossed for Jacob to flick the ball goalward with the outside of his boot. So the right back effectively crossing for the left back to combine for a goal, which was a bit of a rarity. Certainly one for the collectors. And then left-hand side of the pitch, a little bit later on, João Pedro drove into the box on 88 minutes, absolutely smashed the crap out of a cross, low and hard across the 6-yard box. It didn't meet a Hull City player. It didn't need to. Burrows put through his own net. So 88 minutes gone. Sheffield United 0, Hull City 3. I think they were pretty much shell-shocked by what happened. Everybody was probably shocked by what happened, but Hull fans were at least shocked and happy about it. So it lifted Hull up to 18th from 22nd, kept Sheffield United in second, and unfortunately for them, also kept Leeds United first in the division currently.
Boo! The only the only downside to that whole win was, of course, the fact that it kept the dirty, filthy whites at the top of the division. From a podcast perspective, shame on us, I suppose would be the easiest thing to say here. None of us had a Hull win. Only three of us had a Hull goal scorer, and none of those goal scorers were Crooks Jacob or a Bro's own goal. So that's no points across the board there from the first game.
Hull got 3 points. I'm taking that.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't care.
Great.
I don't care. Hull got 3 points.
Our next game took place on Saturday at 3 p.m. Now, unfortunately, for the second week in a row, I've dropped the ball as the podcast host, and I will have to apologise now, as once again I have failed to watch the highlights of the Nottingham Forest game, knowing full well that the Nottingham Forest correspondent wasn't going to be here to go through the details of this game. I dare say it's probably for the best that he's not here, as his Nottingham Forest side travelled down to the South Coast. Their stadium stayed intact, despite all the weather that was around. And the Cherries somehow managed to notch 5 goals to Nottingham Forest's 0 goals. Not ideal, to say the least. There was a goal for Clivert, a goal for Semenyo, and a hat-trick for Ouattara. Absolutely ridiculous. What's even more ridiculous is that's the 3rd hat-trick scored this season by a Bournemouth player. Clivert had scored the previous 2. The goals were scored in the 9th, 55th, 61st, 87th, and 91st minute of the game. So very much most of the damage being done in the second half, whilst Forest were tiring, as it were. Not really in keeping with the current form, as prior to that, Forest hadn't lost in certain number of games since they lost here. Now, obviously, I think we just have to put it down as a bit of an anomaly. I don't think it's going to... Well, I certainly hope it's not going to affect Forest moving forward. But had I actually been able to watch the highlights of the game, I'd probably have a look and see where they looked like they sort of conceded the most challenges, and the most chances and stuff like that. But sadly, I did not. So we'll just have to go through the points from the podcast. Andy gets no points, sadly, as he had a 2-0 Nottingham Forest win with Wooden Alanga to score. Sadly, no points. Stu had a 2-1 Forest win, but does claw himself a point back by having a Semenyo goal.
Stop. Also, Semenyo, please Matt's not here so that we can actually talk about this. Did you see the goal celebration?
Oh, I did. I was actually going to tie this in. So obviously we do, if you're new around here, we also do a wrestling podcast on the network, on the channel, as it were. And upon scoring the 5th goal, I don't know if something twigged in Antoine Semenyo's head, somewhat erroneously, that Booker T was a five-time WCW champion. He's, of course, a six-time World Heavyweight champion, but we won't discuss that. So obviously he flashed up the 5 and then proceeded to do a spinneroonie, executed flawlessly, may I say even, on the pitch, and then almost looked sheepish that he had done so, as he trundled off, almost shaking his head in embarrassment.
But it's Bournemouth Stadium though, so he doesn't have to worry about that many people being there, does he? So
yeah, the six people and the one sheep that was there just had to sort of chuckle amongst themselves about what they'd seen and stuff like that. Yes, so 1 point for Mr. Woodmansey for his Semenyo goal. I went 2-3, and my 2 Bournemouth goals I had down as Semenyo and Kluivert. So happy days. Matt, however, had gone for a 3-2 Bournemouth win. So he did guess the right number of goals. He just put 2 of them into the Bournemouth net rather than his own Forest net. He had Kluivert down for 2 and Semenyo down for 1. So he gets 3 points in total for that game. So 3 points to Matt, 2 points to myself, 1 point to Stu. Andy still yet to score this week. And our third and final game of the week took us to the Northwest, where Preston North End and their lovely Italian-inspired stadium were taking on my lot Middlesbrough. A very, very raucous away following. A sellout, no less, for the borough, taking all 5,000 seats that are available in the Preston South Stand. Is it, Stu? You've been. Nice stadium.
Old-fashioned stadium. There's no corners to it. The big stands as well. Obviously, they have to call one of them the Invincibles because of something that they did before anybody else that was in that ground was born. But yeah, it's like one side's got a full stand to it, and the other side's got a lower tier and a viewing gallery, which just looks like empty garages. Where when we went, some of the assistant coaches and stuff went up to stand up there to radio down so they could see the game from a higher perspective and stuff. But it just looked like at one time it probably could have been developed, and then they just sort of left it. It was all right. I prefer the surrounding area was better in terms of hospitality and stuff. So
Yeah. Well, it would be on the list, but getting Borough away tickets seems to be like getting blood out of a stone at the moment. You're either in or you're not got a chance. 5,000 though, probably the highest chance I was ever going to get. But we already had plans, so no dice. But yes, Borough seemed to start this one on the front foot. Going off the highlights, there was a couple of early Borough chances that weren't taken, and they were dealt a blow as early as the 11th minute when Emmanuel Latela, still a Middlesbrough player as at time of recording, was not. I was going to say he was hooked, but I don't think he was hooked for anything performance-wise. On the 11th minute, he was taken off because he was injured. He was replaced by Marcus Fours, and I don't know if that affected the way that Borough set up. It looked as if they pushed Bergzorg up top and pushed Fours out to the wing, as would be the case normally where he would play. But I would imagine that sort of disjointed the team, and on the 28th minute they fell behind. Possession was lost around the halfway line, and the ball was clipped down the line for, let me get his name correct, Stefan Forderson. Apologies to all our Scandinavian brethren there, as I've probably absolutely butchered that because there's a couple of accents over a couple of the letters. So it's probably like Stefan Forderson or something like that. Again, apologies to all of our Nordic brethren. He was released down the left-hand side. Didn't look as if there was a Borough player within about 10 to 20 yards of him at one point. He had the pretty much the full gallop of that particular area of the Deepdale pitch. he managed to get onto the end of the ball, carry it towards the edge of the box, cut inside, stuck Dale Fry on his arse, and nestled it in the bottom corner out of the reach of the despairing dive of Tom Glover to make it 1-0 to Preston. It stayed that way until the half-time break. So Preston went in 1-0 at half-time. But Borough rallied early in the second half and did manage to get it back to 1-1. A little clipped ball into the path of Bergzorg from Ben Doak on the half-turn on the halfway line. Again, similar sort of thing to the Preston opener. Allowed Bergzorg to run into the space where the ball was going to be. He took a touch to control it, but then obviously the defenders closed in on him. He was very composed to stick one guy on his arse, then waited for the sliding challenge to come from the second defender, basically walked the ball around him, reset himself, and rolled it under the keeper to make it 1-1. A very, very composed finish from Dr. Bergzorg, as he's known on the podcast, of course. Borough then went on to obviously pushed to try and get the winner, and can't even say that they were caught out pressing for the winner, as the goal they conceded is what have I written in the book? I've written utter catastrophe, and I don't think that gives it the credence as to just how bad the winner from a Preston perspective. Well, from a Preston perspective, it was great. The winner from a Borough perspective was absolutely horrendous.
You could have written catastrophe. It would have been much easier to just write ailing.
So the way I have it written down, or the way I have it, having seen the footage, there appears to be a coming together of both Luke Ayling and Rav Vandenberg. I don't know if they've accidentally clashed heads or if they've just run into each other and it's their heads that have taken brunt of it. But if it is, they either need to hit the deck as if they've been shot from the stands, or they just need to get on with the game. What they did was neither. Ayling tried to clip the ball out. The ball ended up at Dale Fry's feet. And I don't know if he just panicked or just seen that there's a red shirt at the edge of the box. He's played the ball out to Aidan Morris. Morris is unable to turn because he's got a Preston player at his back. So goes to play the ball back to the shirts that he sees in front of him, which just happen to be Ayling and Rav Vandenberg, who are almost just bent over on the floor, not even on the floor, they're just bent over with their hands on their knees, almost to say, "Ooh, my head, that hurts." Obviously, the ref can't stop it because they haven't gone down. So Ayling shits himself, tries to turn. At one point, it looked as if he was going to play it back to the keeper, which would have been the most sensible thing to do because the keeper could have at least just like booted it in the touch. But he's tried to he tried to turn and go back to the keeper, seeing that's not really an option. He's turned again and tried to play the ball out, but he's managed to put it straight to the feet of Emile Rees, who takes a touch, gets it out of his feet, sticks the defender down, and then just basically passes it into the corner of the net to make it 2-1. Emile Rees getting what appears to be his annual goal whenever the Borough come to town. He doesn't score against anybody else. He only ever scores against Borough, which is why apparently we were linked with him for several transfer windows, mainly because they just got pissed off that he kept scoring against them. So it was a case of, well, if we've got him, at least he can't score against us. I'm sure he would find a way, though. He seems like the sort. So 2-1 Preston. Borough very much the architects of their own downfall with both goals. Disappointing, to say the least. Really needed the win to sort of cement their place in the playoffs. As such, they got some help because all the other teams, apart from West Brom, in the playoff race, managed to also lose or didn't win at least. So they found themselves in 6th place. But yes, very much not ideal. Podcast predictions wise, no one gets a point for the result, as everyone had a Borough win. Matt had gone 2-1 Borough. Osmajic, Engel, and Fours. No points. Andy had gone 2-0 Borough. Azaza and Bergzorg so does get a goal for Bergzog. Points for Bergzog. Stuart gone 2-0 Borough. Azaz and Bergzog gets himself a point with the Bergzog goal. I'd gone 2-1 Borough. Kessler, Hayden for Preston, Morris and Bergzog with the goal for me as well. So, point for me, point for Stu, point for Andy, which means at the end of the week, Andy does finish with 1 point from his 3 games. Stu, 2 points from the 3 games. Myself and Mr. Moore, 3 points from the 3 games, sharing the week, as it were. So, that's week 22, done and dusted. Week 23 brings with it 3 games. But before we go into week 23, we will have some transfer news to go through. Now, obviously, all our teams have been busy in the current transfer window, no less. Apart from Forest, strangely enough, Nottingham Forest seem to be the only team not doing any business. The one bit of business that I did see was that they've sent Omobamidele. His first name escapes me. He's going to Strasbourg on a season-long loan until the end of the year. Well, until the end of the season. Strange enough, that's what a season-long loan usually makes.
Well, unless you get a keeper from Brighton and then they want him back halfway through.
Yeah, we'll go to Stu next to see as he sounds a little bit bitter about that. I believe we covered that one last week.
Correct.
I'll go to you next because I think Hull haven't been as busy as Borough, because Borough have been quite busy.
I mean, you say that we've had two have gone out, 3 have come in, so there has been a bit of business. So in terms of the players out, in fact, actually no, let's leave that till the end so it ties together in a big nice bow. Let's go with the players that have come in. So we had Lincoln Henrique. He's a 26-year-old. He's on loan from Fenerbahce until, as Paul rightly said, the end of the season. He apparently is a forward player, likes to play the role of the number 10, but is also happy to play left wing or right wing as well. He's a forward that's netted 25 times in 282 appearances. This has the absolute hallmark of our owner's favourite team is Fenerbahce. This guy has played for Fenerbahce, therefore, let's have him for a bit. I hope it works out better than that. We'll see. Elliot Matazo was the second of the signings in the last week. His signing was announced on Friday. Must have actually signed at least 24 hours before that because he did make a substitute appearance in the Sheffield United game in the second half. Looked okay. He signed permanently though on an undisclosed fee from Monaco. He's a 22-year-old defensive midfielder. There's been rumours that Xavier Simons is probably looking like he's on his way out, and that would probably be his squad replacement, if nothing else. Looked all right when he came on. I was pleasantly surprised. So yeah, not bad. And the third signing, like some sort of Christmas miracle in the end of January, happened just before we started recording. So young man Louis Barry signed a contract extension at Aston Villa and then loaned straight back out to us. So he is a 21-year-old. He's been playing the first half of the season on loan at Stockport, and he scored 16 goals in 24 matches. It feels like a bit of he's on a hot streak. Let's have him. It's not going to cost us very much. But yeah, he's done all sorts. I was reading about him before because I'd never really heard of him. Captained England at under 16 level, which was a bizarre one. Played for Barcelona in their under 19 squad. To say I've never heard of the kid, he's got quite an impressive resume for a 21-year-old, so we'll see if it works out. I hope so. We need some goals. Let's have some more goals. But more importantly, from Paul's perspective, let's go to the outs, and perhaps Andy's perspective as well, because long-time podcast favourite, it's a sad time, everybody, Ryan Longman has left the bright lights of Hull to go to the somewhat brighter lights of Wrexham. Undisclosed fee, rumoured to be around £500,000, which is an absolute bargain for them, and a good deal for us, I would suggest, if that is the case. So yeah, he'll be going to link up with the other Ryan, as in Reynolds, as his new chairman.
Has the
And
fee
it's
come out of the Deadpool money or the gin money or the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I'm not sure because I mean, there'll be still. Are they doing a season 3? Are they going to get some more of that Disney dollar as well? Yeah. So yeah, he'll probably get more airtime in the first sort of 3 weeks of him been on than he's had game time for Hull this last season due to injury and other items. But yeah, it seems to have been the week of Ryan's
With
leaving.
this last one, if
Yeah.
you just cover the fact that he's left,
Okay.
and we'll see what happens.
All right. Okay. Well, so perennial whingy little twat, shall we say, Ryan Giles, who did his best to upset the apple cart under the old manager. Granted, he was shit, so that's fair enough. Has left Hull City on a temporary basis thus far, as he has left on a loan. Where could that possibly be, Paul?
Don't really know, mate. I might have to do some digging. So what we might have to do is we might have to take a short break to allow me to dig around and see if I can find where Mr. Giles has turned up. But you guys don't need to go anywhere because this break will be so instantaneous you won't even know it's there. So we'll be right back after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Like we said, that break, it was almost instantaneous, wasn't it? So quick, you barely even saw it was there. So Ryan Giles has left Hull. Probably for the best. Didn't want to be there, did he?
Well, many would argue, Paul, that you've had a perilous task during the break because many would argue that he's been missing for months. So, good luck with that.
I can only presume that the reason he wanted to leave is because he wasn't getting what he needed from Humberside, and he just needed to move to a team where they would appreciate his talents and know what sort of a special player they had. Maybe a place he'd been previously. Maybe a place he'd spent a very productive season not that long ago. Maybe a place with a progressive, attack-minded manager. Maybe somewhere with maybe if you had the initials like MC. I don't know. I really wish I could think quickly off the top of my head and be like, Michael Cooper, who's he managing? Something like that. But sadly, I can't think that fast. Yes, that is correct, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Giles is back at the Borough, and obviously, whoever's the social media accounts manager at Middlesbrough either really needed some time off or is just a huge Ryan Giles fan because for pretty much the next 48 to 72 hours, it felt as if it was the Ryan Giles wankathon, as he was front and centre. He was it was almost as if he was running the social media account. The unveiling video was one of the, you must have seen the memes now where it's, researchers or so and so should do this. It's really the best thing for dogs. And then the camera switches and it's a dog that's sent through. It's like, oh, and he switches the camera back round. But it was Middlesbrough should announce Ryan Giles. Camera switches round, oh, and it's Ryan Giles' face. Lovely.
I'll be honest. When you sent it to us, I didn't get it. I thought it was shit.
It's what the kids are doing these days, Stuart. You just need to be young and with it, like yourself.
I haven't been either of those. Certainly one of them ever, and the other for a very long time now. So,
well,
from experience, spending like half an hour on social media these days, I've realised I don't want any part of what the kids are doing these days. So, probably good. Thanks.
I don't blame you. But yes, Ryan Giles has joined the Borough on a season-long loan till I keep saying this, till the end of the season. No fucking shit, it's a season-long. But he's back. He's been given the squad number 28, which is annoying because it's 25 more than it was last time. So let's just hope he gets 25 as many assists. No? Okay. So yes, it's been a busy week for the Borough. On the same day that they announced the return of Ryan Giles, they announced that Micah Hamilton will be leaving the club on a semi-permanent basis, as he was joining Stockport County on a loan till the end of the season. Hasn't really happened for him since he joined from Manchester City. Never really was. I don't think he was given many starts. If he was, there were certainly in the cup games. Never really had a chance to put his stamp on the team. He's still only young, so hopefully the loan move will get him the game time that he needs to really sort of kick on in his career, and hopefully he'll come back ready for next season. Another loan move, a young right back from the academy, George Gitau, has joined Wraith Rovers until the end of the season. It seems to be a well-trodden path for Borough youngsters to make a switch up to the Scottish League. The Solbrain, Zach Hemming, two goalkeepers from the academy have gone up there before. Isaiah Jones had a spell at Queen of the South before he came back and did really well with the Borough. So hopefully Gitau gets some game time at Wraith and then can come back and stake a claim for the right back spot. Because Borough needs some help in the right back area as it stands at the moment. Then the following day, they announced that a bid had been placed for Morgan Whittaker of Plymouth. This one came a bit out of the blue. Apparently, there was interest from both Burnley and Middlesbrough, but obviously Borough were the first ones to pull the trigger and put in a bid. It was accepted. Discussions were made, and he joined on a permanent basis from Plymouth for around £6 million. I think is the rumoured fee, with add-ons to be potentially there based on future performance, I suppose. A very positive signing, I would say. He was Plymouth's top scorer last season. He has 24 goals in 72 appearances for a guy who can play as the central striker or off the wing. So far this season, he's got 4 goals in 22 games. Was controversially left out of the squad for one of their last games against Burnley, as apparently the manager said he didn't turn up on time. Whittaker himself went to his own personal Instagram account to clear that up and was told, well, no, when the club found out that there were bids in for me, it was agreed that it probably wasn't in the best interest for me to play. So it was basically the equivalent of him just going out and saying, what are you lying for? So who knows? Another in was, we discussed last week that George Edmondson, the defender, had his loan from Ipswich terminated as the clubs couldn't agree on a fee for his permanent move. That was the most pointless recall ever, as he joined the club on the 25th of January for a permanent basis. So they couldn't agree the fee, so Ipswich recalled him, and he probably had to go back to Ipswich to, I don't know, clear out his fridge, maybe, so he could then move to the Teesside more permanently. But he's joined. Doesn't actually say how long he's signed for. Interesting. But yes, signed on a permanent basis, so we'll go straight back into the squad for their upcoming game. Another out, centre-back Matt Clark has moved to Derby County on a permanent basis. I was a little bit surprised by this one. When the news first came out, I thought it was going to be a short-term move, as I felt he'd done quite well since he came back from his injury that cost him nearly a year of action. He's gone undisclosed fee, joined Derby. Someone noticed that Borough had done a lovely little bit of shithousery in the announcement. The 28-year-old joins the Championship Strugglers for an undisclosed fee. Didn't say fellow Championship club, just had to get that little bit of needle in there. Championship Strugglers, Derby County. So Matt Clark, no longer in Middlesbrough.
It's not like Middlesbrough have like any sort of previous beef with Derby or anything, is it?
Yeah, it's all right, because if you ask the Derby fans, old Mel had Steve Gibson on strings because he was doing such a great job. Yeah, just double check with the Derby fans what division they found themselves in 2 years after that particular incident. But neither here nor there, was it, lads? So just don't worry about it. And then one final bit of business that she's gone through in a similar fashion to Louis Barry at Hull. Borough have signed Mark Travers, the goalkeeper from Bournemouth, on a season-long loan. I would be very, very surprised if he doesn't go straight into the squad and indeed straight into the team for the next fixture. I don't know if there's an option to make it a permanent switch at the end of the loan, but he will certainly be there until the end of the season. So it just gives a bit more competition in the goalkeeper area, which has been lacking since the Dieng and Solbrin's injuries. Tom Glover was kind of playing as the unmovable number one, in the fact that he was the only fit senior goalkeeper at the club. So some very much needed competition there in the goalkeeper slot. So that's all the transfer roundup done for the three teams. That just leaves us with week 23's three fixtures, the first of which sees Nottingham Forest taking on Brighton and Hove Albion. Now, obviously, this is Mr. Moore's team. His prediction will go in the book last. So I'll start us off. I've gone for Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 2. Brighton also lost last time out against Everton, and they found themselves, I think, in a similar sort of vein to Forest. I think they were on a fairly decent run of form. I don't think they've lost for a while. So I think both teams will look at this as like a chance to get back on track, as it were. I've gone for Wood, Gibbs, White for Forest, Welbeck and Mitoma for Brighton. Stu, what have you got down for Forest versus Brighton?
Similar thoughts in the respect of both have been doing all right and then had a bit of a strange loss last time. I don't know if you saw as well that the kid who scored the goal for Everton against Brighton, that it was a penalty, then got booked for pretending to be a seagull in his goal celebration, which was, again, excellent bit of shithousery. I was mega tempted to go for 0-0 on the basis of like a little bit of a reset for both sides, but Forest seemed to score goals and I still wanted to go for a draw. So I went for 1-1 in the end, almost like a diet version of what you've just predicted, in the sense of I went for Wood and Mitoma.
One apiece. Wood, Mitoma. Andy?
Forest down to win 2-0. Wood and Alanga to score.
2-0. Wood, Elanga. Wood and Elanga, a popular pairing, as Mr. Moore has also got Wood and Elanga in his prediction. But much like me, he's also gone for a 2-2 draw. He's gone for Welbeck and João Pedro to score for Brighton. Next up, we have Hull City versus Stoke City. The battle of the cities. Who will come out on top? The Humberside lot or the Potters lot? Obviously, it's Mr. Woodmansey's team. He will go last. I'm assuming he'll be in attendance.
Correct.
Lovely stuff. Matt's gone for a 2-1 Hull City win here. He's gone for João Pedro. It's funny that, because he picked him to score for Brighton. So I don't know, he's picked him to score for two different clubs. What a hilarious joke. God, I'm so funny. João Pedro and Gelhardt. Oh, he's gone for Al Hamadi to start for Stoke. Now, I thought he was at Ipswich, so I can only presume that they have signed him at some point in the last 24 hours. But that's just me. Andy, what have you got down for Hull versus Stoke?
Got a 1-1 draw.
Ooh.
Let's get in on the new player scoring early with Crooks for Hull. And I've got Gibson for Stoke.
Good old Gibbo. That's an ex-Borough boy you've picked there. Lovely stuff. He's a centre half, but he does score occasionally. So let's see what happens. I've gone for a 2-0 Hull win. Gone for a goal for new boy Joseph and a second goal for new boy Matt Crooks. How do you see this one panning out, Mr. Woodmansey?
Well, it's difficult, this one, because we've now gone 3 away games unbeaten. We discussed last week about the absolute shit tip that is our pitch. Having beaten second in the league convincingly on their own patch, I'd like to think it'd give them some confidence. The difficulty is playing any kind of fluid football on that surface at the moment is difficult, and I think the game against Stoke will be, as usual, a bit more of a physical battle. I have gone for a 2-1 Hull win because we don't keep clean sheets very often, and since we had one last time out, it's not going to happen again the next game. So I've gone for Geldhart and Joseph. And because we're playing Stoke, it would be remiss of me not to put one down for Gooch.
Filthy boy. Filthy boy. You love to see it. And our third and final game of the week is my lot Middlesbrough versus the filthy lot from just up the A19, Sunderland. It's the derby that's not really a derby from Sunderland's perspective, but the second they get any sort of positive win or any sort of positive result, they never shut up about it. So go fuck yourselves. Not only is this live on the Sky Telly box, this is a live game that has where I don't know if it's Sky have done a deal with ITV or if it's the Football League have done a deal with ITV, but for some reason they did this earlier in the season with the Leeds versus Sheffield Wednesday game. It was both on Sky and available on terrestrial television via ITV. The only problem is it's being played at 8 p.m. on Monday evening, which is just when I finish playing five-a-side. So I'm going to have to finish playing five-a-side and drive home very fast. Of course, adhering to the speed limit at all times. Or I will have to very quickly find myself in the pub to partake in this one. Obviously, it's my team, so I will give my prediction last. I'll jump in with Mr. Moore's prediction. He has gone for a very entertaining 3-3 draw. He's gone for a goal apiece for Azaz, Doak, and a first in Borough colours for the new signing, Whittaker. The 3 goal scorers for Sunderland, he's gone for penalty king, Isidore. Let's hope they don't get a spot kick. Their new signing, Lefay, and Hjelde. Again, apologies to all of our Nordic and potentially Icelandic brethren. I have absolutely no idea where this guy's from, but he certainly sounds Scandinavian, so let's just go with that. Yes, 3-3 Mr. Moore's gone for. And if people are watching that on ITV, they may inadvertently think that Borough are entertaining, so they may stick around and go to they might go to more games. Oh, they will be sadly mistaken. Andy, what have you got down for Borough Sunderland?
I want Borough to win 2-1.
Ooh, lovely.
I have Whittaker getting on the new signing action. I also have Doak score. And I've got Mayenda.
You love getting your ender in, don't you? So.
I do. Especially in May.
Stu, what have you got down?
I've gone 1-1. It worked last time out when we talked about Bergsorg being well overdue. Azaz now finds himself still in that bracket, so let's put Azaz down and see if we can reverse jinx him into sticking his foot on the ball to get in the net. And annoyingly for Sunderland, I couldn't bring myself to pick Isidore after watching his absolute travesty of a game against Burnley the other week. As Paul rightly said, even if Borough do concede a penalty, if he picks up the ball, you should be fine, lads. So I've gone for Bellingham.
No, I don't think it. Well, I'd like to think it won't affect him, but there is a potential that he is going to be the subject of a late offer. So apparently, there's rumours doing the rounds that I think Palace are going to try and get him in the last knock into the transfer window. Now,
well, if it is a Palace transfer, that'll be twice they've fucked me over this transfer window in predictions after they swiped that QPR player at the last minute as well.
Yeah, not ideal. So Stu's gone 1-1, Matt's gone 3-3, Andy's gone 2-1. I've followed Stu and Matt in this one. I've also gone for a draw. I've gone for the Doctor to continue his form from Preston. I've gone for Bergzorg to net for the Borough. And I have gone with the penalty king, similar to Matt. I've gone for Isidore to score for Sunderland. It'll be sods that they will get a penalty. He will be given the ball because they'll just be like, just stick it away, lad. He'll miss the penalty, but he'll be first on the rebound and he'll just smash it in from 2 yards out or something like that. As seems to be the way that it goes if you're a Borough fan. So that brings us to the end of the week's podcast. Before we go through the usual stuff at the end of the podcast, does anyone have anything they'd like to bring to the table? In that case, I'll end it there. Thank you very much, as always, to these two gentlemen for joining me this week. If you're new around here, if this is your first time watching us on YouTube or listening to us via many of your streaming devices, but obviously, thank you very much for the listen. But maybe think about subscribing to the channel. It's not just football that we offer here on the Cookie Cast Podcast Network. We also have a weekly American football show. We are getting to the nitty-gritty end of the season now. There is only one game remaining as at time of recording, and that is, of course, the Pro Bowl, ladies. No, that's absolutely not. It's the Super Bowl. Yes, so the get it whilst you can, ladies and gentlemen. The NFL show laces out from us here will be ending very shortly. If wrestling's up your street, I mean, why shouldn't it be? It's available to everybody now that it's been shown on Netflix. We also do a monthly wrestling show where we discuss the happenings, the news, the ongoing sagas of what's been happening in the world of I was going to say the World Wrestling Entertainment, but it's not called that anymore. It's just WWE. We discuss that. We go through the predictions for the upcoming premium live event show. This month will be the Royal Rumble, one of the better shows of the year. So keep an eye out for that show coming out very, very shortly. And then, of course, Mr. Cook, the man himself, the man who runs the network each week, he unloads the thoughts and feelings he has going on in that brain of his with the Darkest Timeline podcast. All well worth your time, well worth a listen, ladies and gentlemen. Join us again next week where we'll go through those 3 fixtures we just discussed there. We'll also do a transfer window roundup, as I'm sure there'll be some business done by all 3 of the teams with the last week of the transfer window. But until then, thank you for listening again. We'll see you next week. Keep an eye out for each other. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next week right back here. Tatty bye.
So there we go, which thing's that? Another one done, another one gone. Obviously, we miss Matt not being here, but the show must keep going, must keep moving. We keep covering Matt's team, keep it going. Gotta go. Before we go, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. If you want to do a little bit of something for the podcast, Please consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button. That way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.